Hey Wes, been a while. Doing all right.
In shadows deep where silence grows, a
Didn't forget
spark
about you, Jody. Hi, Jody.
ignites, courage shows. We break the chains, the
Oh,
walls we
snowed
climb.
in.
Together we can redefine.
We
Voices
got
rising, hearts awake. Through
about
every
an
moment, the
inch
steps
and a
we
quarter maybe,
take. The
but then it was just
scars, the
compounded with
pain,
sleet.
reflect the fire. Transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to
Hmm.
start. Healing the world, one open
Yeah.
heart. From the battles fought to the words unsaid, through heavy burdens, the paths we tread, from the songs we sing to the fears we face, we find our strength in shared embrace. Voices rising, hearts awake, through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect
Hmm.
the fire, transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to
All right.
converse, a
Cool.
bridge to start.
Welcome to Courage to Converse, where we discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge that some conversations may touch on sensitive or challenging
My
issues.
reason for
This
voting is going to
podcast is not
shock a lot of
intended as
you.
a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to
It's
help.
kind of a shitty
In the
answer too,
U.S.,
but
you can call
it's
or
what it
text
is.
988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741-741 to reach the crisis text line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. So let's get started.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this second episode of Courage to Converse. This week we have a couple new guests with us. Online we have Nick Mead, and here in person we have Wes Hawkins. These are a couple buddies of mine that I've met over the past several years. Obviously, those of you who know me, it's through the haunt world, right? I think Wes and Nick have known each other for a while, haunted with each other for a little bit, and reuniting here over Teams with Nick. He's in Atlanta, snowed in a little bit, so he couldn't make it live. So, Wes, if you want to, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, there's not much to say about me. I'm just a hunt enthusiast. That's how I met you. And we lived in the same neighborhood before you moved where you're at now. Um, if I'm not mistaken, Nick was with he was with
Nick. Nick.
was with
I was for a little while.
Lake Joy.
yeah, the other hunt.
Yeah, he was with Lake Joy for a while.
Yeah, I'm going through a brain fart here.
Yeah, no worries.
And memory serves, that's how he and I. Yeah, although I don't know him.
Right. You didn't want me to know him anyways. I don't blame you. Everybody knows JoJo from last week. Jody.
Yeah.
And then Nick, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. I know I already introduced you, but if you got anything you want people to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Nick. I'm a big haunt enthusiast. That's how I came to know all these fine fellows on this platform. Uh, just here to help spread the word and show uh, everybody what the benefits of really just speaking can do. So I'm not going to go too much into it right now. We're going to show you what it's about.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're here for. And today we are going to be talking about a couple controversial things that they say you never talk about with people, especially at work and in environments that you might strike some heated conversations. But it's religion and politics. This topic is I do not let religion and politics choose who my friends are. Because the whole point of this podcast is for us to be able to have casual conversations, even debates, sometimes maybe even heated debates, but in the end, we can still walk away as friends, even though we have differing opinions. You know what I mean? Just because you voted one way or have a religious belief or no religious belief doesn't mean that we can't get along. You know, and that helps us build humanity, mankind, and everything like that. Well, the first thing I'm going to start off with, because I do think religion is going to take over most of the conversation, I'm going to start off with the political side. And what I'm going to do is kind of go around the horn here and ask a few questions. I've already briefed everybody kind of what we're going to talk about, but um, are you a voter? Did you vote this past voting season? Why did you, or who did you vote for, and why did you vote for them? Um, as much or little information as you want. And then I'm going to start with you, Nick, but you want first.
Yeah. Mine really is going to be short and sweet to start. Uh, I had a troubled youth. I say that to say that at an early age, I had some law problems, which, if as a convicted felon, you couldn't vote. So I never really paid attention to politics, why one person does this, why somebody else does the others. Never really bothered me. I couldn't really have a say, so I didn't care. When I finally got the ability to vote, I still really felt like it is what it is, but my friends and my close knit circle really all shared a common person who they really leaned towards. And I just voted for them to have the extra vote. Didn't really care. I voted for Trump.
No other reasons other than your friends that you were close to voted for them. Correct?
I'm sorry?
I said no other reason other than that your friends voted for Trump as well.
Yeah, that's it.
And guess what? That's your given right, right? You have the right to do you want, why you want to vote. You don't even have to have a reason for it. Not a lot of people will agree with that stance, but it's your right, not theirs. Right? Can't take it from you. All right?
That's right.
Wes.
I voted for Harris. And the reason I voted for her is I come from a Republican family, both sides of my family. Republican. There's people that I know that are going to vote a straight Republican ticket. Doesn't matter what the candidate does or doesn't.
Right.
That's just the way they are. I come from a town where, believe it or not, we have two funeral homes. One the Republicans use, the other the Democrats.
Wow.
Kid you not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I kid you not. There's even churches. Although if you
Where's from?
Huh?
Where are you from?
A little town in Virginia called Quintwood.
Virginia.
But if you ask people, a lot of people are going to insist that isn't true. They'll say they have other reasons for not using
Right.
the Republicans.
So truly both.
Yeah, most of the time they'll say because they don't take as good a care of the body as the other funeral home does.
Mm.
It's all trash in the lawns.
Right.
Just ridiculous. Anyway, the reason I voted for Harris is I don't necessarily believe she was the best candidate, but I thought she's better than Trump. She's not a convicted felon for one.
Right.
And also because Vance said some things that I very much disagreed with about women that didn't have children for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was,
That's awesome. That stuff.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that, but there's no way in hell I was going to vote for Trump after Vance said those things.
Right. Yeah, some of the things that he said you're not going to go into it, so don't go into it if you don't want to. But the things he said about women not having children, no childbearing women should be in a position of power, something along those lines, wasn't it?
As I recall, it was something along the line, paraphrasing it, that women who didn't have children were not contributing to the future of the country.
Right. Now, do you think that was a serious thing, or do you think that was more of a saying things off of William a joke? And whether it's a joking matter or not, I can understand how.
No, I mean, even if he was a joke, he shouldn't have said it anyway.
Right. People can't control their mouth. no matter what.
I mean, a person that's a political candidate of that, that height, I guess,
Right,
everything that comes out of the mouth, they better be serious.
right. Take it seriously at least
Yeah.
to the general world out there. What about you, JoJo?
I voted as well. I voted for Trump. The Our country, I believe, it is a business. All the other countries worldwide view us that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be run like the business that it is. And one of the greatest business minds out there can do it again.
Right,
And that was my reasoning for the vote.
right. Now I voted. It might be a surprise to some people. I did vote for Trump as well. The reason being, let me start with this actually. I do think Trump's an idiot. He doesn't have to keep his mouth shut. But there's a lot of people out there that are still good people that make good decisions, good business decisions, and I kind of agree with the country is in business. It should be ran like that. There's a few main reasons I voted. One, the last time he was in office was one of the best times my family was best supported under those policies and everything. Two, every year that Biden was in office are the only years of my working life that I've paid taxes, and a lot of taxes. Every other year, I don't know what's going to be like this year. Probably going to be paying again. But I've never paid taxes, and I'm voting based on what I feel is going to be benefit my family best at that point. There's a lot of other things that I probably should be looking into, about certain views and everything. I don't. I kind of side on the Trump side about let women and let the states or whatever decide women's rights and things like that. I don't think the federal government should have any say in it. I don't think the government should have any say in it to begin with. Personally, let the women decide what they want to do with their own bodies. Now, I think there should be limitations on it, things like that. If there's women out there doing it over and over and over and over, well, maybe you need to have your guts taken out, or the government's not going to pay for it anymore if the government decides they're going to pay for it. Because there's so many other things where that money should be or could be going to that, in my opinion, that could be going. But those are my reasons for voting. I did vote for Trump. Like I said, I do think he's an idiot. He doesn't have to keep his mouth shut. I liked Vance's the way he presents himself, but again, I think he's changed his stance on Trump from years ago. Like he didn't like Trump years ago, and all that. He's changed his stance because he looked and was like, yeah, he is a convicted felon. However, Nick's a convicted felon, but he's a good ass dude. That was the felon stuff. I think was a capture or apply for against him or whatever. But in the end, I think it should be ran like a business, and it's again my family was the best under the 4 years Trump was in office. That's what I'm now going to politics, choosing who your friends are. Have you ever had friends unfriend you or stop talking to you because of who you vote for or what your political views are? No. Have you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, let me come back to this. You voted for Trump. You're a gay man. Do you get a lot of backlash because of that from the gay community?
Oh, yeah. How can you be a gay Republican?
Right.
Just that sentence itself
Right.
is problematic
Right.
because you look at the societal norm. I should be strong Democrat,
Right.
and I've never been, even through the Obama years and everything like that.
Right.
I
almost voted for Obama. Close. It was so close.
but that's like Clinton. I think the best Democrat that's been in the longest time was when Clinton was in.
Everyone says he was a very good president. But and do you think he was a good president? Clinton?
Go Monica.
Go Monica.
Right.
I was leaning towards that.
I'll just say this: I could admire a guy who will come out and say, "Yeah, it's true. I did have at least he owned in the state.
Mhm.
A lot of people, politicians, are not.
Right.
Even if they get caught red-handed, they just won't. They just won't accept responsibility.
I think it's a lot of humans, not just politicians, but a lot of humans.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
Um,
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey, right, which is a very, very blue state.
Yep.
Um, my uh, my parents, my mom is the only one still alive, and she is still very pro Democrat. Um, but I never really grew up in it as a forced issue. Um, they just really they were the type of parents that would just let you grow up and learn about the things you want to learn about and see the things you want to see and make your own determinations. So they never really pushed the political issue on us as kids growing up, which I think is a benefit, really. It made us kind of who we are and not have to like conform to the pressures of what your family believes in. And I mean, we still talk a little bit about politics to this day, and it's just gets to a point where let's talk about this some other time kind of deal. I'm not liking where this conversation is going. We're not going to have an argument, but we're just not going to talk about it.
It's an uncomfortable situation, right? It should never have
Yeah,
to be that way.
even with my own family.
Yep. Well, family, friends, I got family. Jeff, if you're watching, you're one of them. That's my father-in-law. He he's a very strong, opinionated person, and he will. Um, he's very, very strong about his opinion on the politics too. Some to the point where like will almost make you feel like you have no say because you're not smart or something like that. It's almost how it makes you feel sometimes, right? It doesn't never need
Yeah,
to be condescending or anything like that. It should just be a conversation and listen to understand and learn from each other rather than telling the other person why they're wrong or why their viewpoints are wrong or whatever, right? Um, some people, I'm saying to you, Nick, I won't have a conversation just because it's uncomfortable, and I know it's going to get to that point because if I say anything, it's going to be difficult, right? Um, and again, I don't think it should ever get to that point. It doesn't help build a relationship or anything like that.
not at all. Yeah,
So, um, so I got a couple talking points here. The pressure to choose sides. This is going to go to both the political and the religious conversation today. Um, when you are in these conversations, or you're talking to people, or you hear things, you're watching videos and all that, you ever feel like you have to choose a side, or you just get to the point where you're like, I'm just not going to have this conversation at all. Do you feel like people aren't trying to persuade you to think otherwise?
a personal. Go ahead.
You had any?
I was going to say personally, I've always been around the type of people that would get heated with it really quick. So it's always been shut down.
Right.
Always. It shutting it down doesn't really make for a healthy conversation, but it avoids the negative connotation of the whole thing anyway. So it's always just really been avoided.
Right. How do you feel social media has played a role in the political agenda? Do you think it's very biased? Or do you think it goes with your normal algorithms of uh, it'll show you more of what you look at?
I think it caters to what you're interested in.
You think that's the case?
Yeah, especially with all the AI stuff.
I
I
agree.
saw I saw a post today, actually from Mark Zuckerberg, um, that they're changing the way they do things. They're taking away the um, fact checkers and stuff like that because they've been semi-biased, and they're changing the way they do that. Those things, they're changing the filters, they're getting away with a lot of new things, and they're starting over. Because the fact checks were extremely biased and wrong, and kicking people off Facebook or booting them off Facebook for the wrong reasons. Um, and there had been a lot of bias toward the political views and stuff like that. Because I noticed I lean more towards the Republican side, but I know this. If I look at one video on the opposite side, just trying to get another viewpoint, that's all that I started getting, right? And then a lot of the fact checking against Trump was always a negative thing. It was always, yeah, Trump wrong, Trump wrong, Trump wrong. But the fact checks against the Biden side was leaning more towards a bias with Biden, and things like that. So I tried. I was glad to see that video, but we'll see how it actually plays out again.
So it's all going to be meta driven AI.
Well,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was a lot of meta already,
Right.
but they're taking a lot of that out and changing the way they do the AI and things like that. They're going to let it allow more free speech. He actually specifically mentioned the way X is doing it. It was just one of those things I scrolled through and I was like, "Is that really Mark Zuckerberg? Is this real? Is this AI itself? Like, really?" But I want to say there's an echo from when I talk. Let me ask you real quick. You guys have anything else you want to talk about on the political side? Because there's really not much on the political side that I want to talk about. Is
I wanted to just throw in that your comment about it being AI driven, I think is more new, right? But this problem has been a problem way before Facebook and Instagram were able to push what you see. So,
You do echo.
I don't know why I go. Goodbye.
But the thing that I had challenges with this election, as opposed to even the last two previous, the social media influencers, the ones that are the most popular right now, like on TikTok and YouTube and all your major platforms, trying to influence these children that are coming into voting this year. And it's very similar to the brainwashing tactic. These kids have no idea what either side of the platforms are fighting for issues wise, what they're looking to do when they get in there. They're just hearing like some of the, I don't know how to explain it, some of the key YouTubers and stuff like that, the gamer YouTubers and stuff like that are talking about, well, you have to vote for Harris. She's the only way out of the drama of Trump and the sinking of the country. He's going to take us even further and further down and all that. And these kids they're not getting the actual issues that could create the pieces that they're talking about. They're getting just this negative play about one side or the other. And that's how they're influenced to make their decision. It was rough.
Right.
And we heard it even out here at the haunt with the kids and stuff that
mhm.
were talking about, if I could vote, I don't know who I would vote for because I'm listening to, everybody on social media.
Right.
But that's, you know, should that dictate who you vote for?
So kids are really impressionable, right?
Right. There's
Exactly.
100%.
And not only in social media aspects of this, but they say it's not there, but it's definitely in schools too. I mean, I remember my son coming home one time and he said something along the lines of, "Are you going to vote for Biden?" What made you ask that? Well, my teacher said she's voting for Biden.
Oh,
Oh, so shouldn't talk about that in school, should we?
No.
No, we
My
shouldn't talk
opinion.
about that shit in school. That's bullshit.
Right.
That's my opinion. Yeah. But man, what does the guy go around? Greg, you would know. The guy that goes around all the colleges and talks to the students about politics and religion and all these things. And it's like pretty much prove me wrong, right? Like the college is brainwashing you kids these days. College is killing you. It's teaching you the wrong things, and it's feeding you their bias towards I guess you could say the liberal side, like the Democrat side, to say that you should follow these ways or you're wrong. It's kind of how they're making it be. And a lot of kids, a lot of parents that I've talked to actually are like, I don't want my kids going to college because they're gonna be brainwashed. I don't call it brainwashed because they're gonna be feeding them this information, not the school information. You know what I mean? Your kid's in elementary school, right? Right?
I have one in elementary. Yeah.
He they should be talking about politics and who to vote for and stuff like that.
Not at all.
My teacher said this, so he's gonna come home and he's gonna strike up conversations with you and argue, and and you might teach him, well, look at it your own way, look at your own views. But then he goes back to school and starts an argument with the teacher. Well, this is what I like to do. This is what my parents said, and then now your kid's got a target on his back because now he's
Right.
got Republican views and the teacher doesn't agree with him. That's
Hmm.
they say separate church
And
and
state.
state and religion and politics, separate all that crap from those types of things for this very reason, right? And they're saying you're taking religion out of schools and stuff, but now they're putting politics into it.
Yeah, not a good replacement.
Yeah, not at all. So, I wish Landon was in here because I had a good debate with him and his friends over Instagram. They have this group chat with me. It's called Joe Chat, and he had some friends that were for Trump, some friends that were for Biden, and I just straight up asked, "Why are you voting?" Right? And one of the biggest things was, well, "Why did you vote for Biden?" Or "Why did you vote for Harris?" And why did you vote for Trump? Well, the Trump voters were kind of what we were saying with, it's like a business, and the ones who were voting for Harris were saying, well, I don't like people who don't like gays, and I don't think that they should have any say in women's rights. If you look at it deep down, I believe what the truth is saying is not Biden, Trump wants to give the women's rights back to the states where they belong. The federal government should have any say in it. Stop saying that Trump doesn't want it. He doesn't care. Let the women choose on their own. The reality of it. And then he's not against gays. He's had gay people on his party. He's had, I believe I heard that he had one of the
The
first
first
gay
person in his cabinet.
So
Hmm.
he's not against gays. There's plenty of videos out there, lots of videos of Trump throughout the years that say, you know, Trump not against gays. He welcomes them. Just don't push it onto me.
Right.
Just like don't put your religion on me. Don't put your gayness on me. You're gay. I accept you. You're my friend. You're my brother. But that doesn't mean you're trying to convert me to be gay, pushing your things on me and all that stuff. And I respect you for that. You know.
Right.
It's the same thing for politics. That's how I view it. So I know that was long-winded, but in that conversation I had with my son's friends, they were all like, it was Hunter, actually, Hunter, if you're listening, you were the one I was like, this was actually one of the calmest political debates that I think you could have ever had. I'm like, well, I just wanted you to think and actually look at the facts, look at the details, and think for yourself. Don't just go based on what you're only seeing in social media on your post, because it's extremely biased. It's gonna go. The social media, we got a podcast coming up about this because I use social media like crazy, but I'm against it for many reasons. But it is biased towards what you view, and if you're in a dark moment in life, guess what your social media is going to have all over it? A bunch of dark shit. It's going to put you
Yeah.
into a mode. It's going to continue to do that. If you're in a positive mode and that's all you look at, guess what's going to be on your feed, right? And if you keep watching videos of Trump's against gays, you're going to keep seeing that type of shit.
That's
It's
right.
up to you to go out there and fact search,
Right.
right? Find all the details and all that, and then make a decision. Don't just go based on that. But in the end,
Or by the influencers either.
right? But in
Right.
the end, it still is your vote. Right? People can vote for whatever they want, whatever they want. But people should do their research before they vote. People should do the research before they make a decision in anything in life.
Right.
You know what I mean? So did we bang out the political side of it? Because I've been looking a lot into this religion side of it, and I think this is going to be a very strong conversation, a lot of good ones, because we have many different views in my house and in the on the stream here on the live. So for the political side, anybody online have anything? We'll wait about a minute or so. We'll wait for some comments or anything. If you have anything to say, we will pull it up. If not, we're gonna jump right into the. Oh,
You have the remote for the TV?
yeah. Need it?
Because it's.
No, it's not streaming.
All together?
Yeah, turn it off. Give me 1 second. This needs to be.
To do a live TV?
There we go. And then we want me to stream that back there, right?
Yeah.
So let me reconnect. We're going to do that one. Where is that? All right. So this next segment is going to be all about religion. And again, I do not personally let politics. Why? Because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And we do live in America, and I do believe in free rights and free speech and things like that. I got a whole other segment about that as well, actually, because you have freedom of speech and everything doesn't mean you should speak. Kind of like Trump, he needs to keep his mouth shut to certain things. But again, he has the right to say these things, whether it's in a political view or a world view or anything like that. That's up to him to own in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so religion. This is a very tough topic. I have some strong opinions, and if I upset any family out there and all that, fine by me. Um, I feel very strongly about these things, and if you have a differing opinion, I would love to have a conversation with you about it, and I would love to have you come online tonight and talk about these things because it's why we're having this conversation. So I'm going to straight up own it. We have Nick. Can you tell us your political party, not political party, your religious party or belief or lack thereof?
Yeah, so I'm actually not practicing anymore, but I'm a non-practicing Wiccan.
All right. What's
I'm an atheist.
go ahead.
I considered myself Methodist growing up, but I'm more on the agnostic side,
Right.
but still a form of Christianity.
Right. Personally, I was raised in Christian beliefs. I grew up going to a Lutheran and Baptist church. I attended a church in Warner Robins that was Nazarene. However, I am also agnostic at this point in my life. I don't. I lean more towards because of the way I was raised, more towards Christian beliefs. However, I don't practice and read the Bible or anything like that. Not to any fault or any reason. Just I don't feel that I need to make my life better. That's just how I feel. I've thought about the atheist side because for a long time, because of things that have happened in life and things like that, I didn't know what to believe in. But I do believe, I've been doing some research, about atheists and stuff like that. Atheists don't believe in a higher power, right? That's the difference between agnostic and atheist, correct?
My definition of it is, well, I can only speak for myself, so I don't believe that there are any deities. I don't believe any of them exist.
Right. Do you feel that we had to come from somewhere?
Well, obviously, yeah. But as to what that is, where that comes from, all that, I have no idea.
Right. That's where I'm struggling with right now. That's where I'm at. I believe we came from somewhere because we, other than our mom and our dad and all that stuff, something created us beings, right? Our dogs and our cats. Like we came from somewhere. But is there a higher power? I've had experiences throughout life and stuff, right? I feel there's something because we had to come from somewhere, right? Um, some people have believed in aliens, and some people believe in different goddesses and stuff like that. And Nick, I was doing some research about, the Wiccan side. The Wiccans are more of the worldly type stuff, right? The
Yeah.
Earth, water,
earth,
fire,
yeah,
right?
Hmm.
wind, fire,
And the spirit,
and
it's the
spirit,
pentagram.
right? Um, so what is Jojo? You coming up, in your religious side and everything like that, and then being gay. How has that been played a role in your life? Um, because of the Christian beliefs. Because you and I did a lot of research this week about different Bible verses and stuff, and I'm going to bring them up actually while you talk.
Well, when I was younger, my parents they didn't go to church. My grandparents, the whole family essentially really didn't go to church. So that wasn't something that we were, made to do every Sunday or anything like that. I chose when I was younger to go to, I started at a Bible school and then worked my way in, and I would literally because my parents would not take me. I rode my bike. Luckily, the church was close enough, and I would ride every Sunday to go.
So you decided to go on your own, basically.
Oh, I rode my bike to Bible school in the summer and everything like that. And then I would help the church as well. So when we would have functions and things like that, help set up, help cook, and things like that. When someone was being buried in the cemetery, I would help with, you know, all that fun stuff too. Not so fun, but
Right.
um, yeah. Then as I got older, I stayed in the Methodist side of the church. Every church that I went to, it was just more hypocrisy. And I started to pick up on this stuff even at a young age. That we, it says in the Bible that we're not to judge each other. Period. That there's one judge, right? Yet there's people in the church who are the woman. She walks right in. She's got a nice dress on. Maybe it's a little short, but you can hear sitting in a pew. You can hear them whispering things like, she looks like a slut and she just came in church. Okay, you're sitting in church.
Mm-hmm.
You're judging this woman who came in here. She probably prayed for your soul.
The sin's a sin, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And just because her dress is a little short, that doesn't mean that's what she is. And maybe she is, but that's her life. That's not your problem, you know? So for me, I kept seeing all those things. When I came out, my pastor literally was going to drag me out into the middle of the church and throw me out on the carpet in front of everyone. So instead of that, I literally busted the doors open and announced, you know, to the whole church that I was I was a gay man, and that should not be any reflection of what my belief structure is. And if anyone wants to condemn me now to hell, so to speak, you can do so, but you won't do it to me
Right.
because I'll walk out and
Right.
I will not return.
And you have every right to and should, because again, I got several verses here. We went through, Jojo and I did some research, a lot of talking this week to prepare for this. Um, again, I don't know a lot about the Bible, but you've heard about different Bible verses and people throw them out there. You're a gay man, and all these different Bible verses.
Sodom and Gomorrah, you're going to burn in hell.
Right.
Fire and brimstone. Well, why hasn't it hit me yet?
So, and I know the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Old Testament has a lot of the old ways, and then the new covenants and stuff like that for the New Testament and all that stuff. And a lot of the things that people are told, it seemed to be from the old ways, right? Old things, the old way they practiced,
Which you cannot even translate into the way that we live in a society now.
right. And
Like
that's
even from measurement all the way up.
found references while I was doing research this week about that. Like those things were for that time,
Oh, absolutely.
and they changed even for the religious times of within the Bible itself.
Yeah.
And I will never try to sit here and call out Bible verses like I know them. I'm going to reference some here because they're very relevant to the conversation, but I'll never say I know these Bible verses or anything like that. But the first one that comes up is Matthew 7:1-2. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. Right? Sin is a sin is a sin. You're a gay man, you drink alcohol, you're a drunkard, you judge, they're all sins. In Jesus' eyes, you look through it, there's plenty of references out there that tell you are not the one to judge. It is the Lord's, Jesus' point, or God's point to judge you. Otherwise, you're sinning, right? So if you want to be a convenient Christian, I think we talked about this a little bit.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
want to be a convenient Christian and choose what your sins are going to be, or your sins better or worse than the other person's, you're just as big a sinner as anybody else. It's not your point to judge how that person dresses, how that person tattoos themselves, how that person looks, acts, does. Because Jesus himself, if you listen to the pastors and everything, went out there and rescued, the prostitutes and all those things, right? So if that's what you're going to talk, practice it yourself. Because if you want to be a true Christian and all those things, practice it yourself. Be a good person. Don't judge because it's not your point, right? I have a lot of family members, I have a lot of people, and I've shied away from religion because of these convenient Christian ideologies, in my opinion. I'll have conversations, whatever, but I do believe in the higher power. However, I don't know if I'm going to be I'm going to search through Jesus Christ or anything like that. I personally, and that's the commonality between Muslims, uh, even Indians and Wiccans and all of them, be good people, be forgiving, be loving.
Respect one another.
Yep.
Respect nature.
Here's another Christian thing. Oh, yeah, the Muslim belief only Allah can judge, right? Allah and Muhammad.
And Buddha.
Yeah, Buddha.
And Shiva.
There
Mhm.
were several posts on Facebook this week with Buddhist thing, and it's more calming and relaxing to read those things.
But there's still one judge.
Right.
At the end of the day.
John 8:7 says, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone." Kind of what you were referencing there, right? A sin is a sin. If you want to judge, you're sinning just as much as the person that's gay. If you think that they're sinning, but there's a lot of forgiveness and love throughout the religious teachings out there, no matter what.
Well, what's the definition of convenient Christian?
The definition of a convenient Christian, I think it could be open to perspective. I think a convenient Christian, and personally, is somebody that's going to only pick and choose or interpret the Bible how they want to interpret it, whether it was meant to be that way or not.
Depending on how it's convenient to what's going on with them at that time.
In their life at that point, exactly.
Right.
And it's semi-frustrating, actually, people who holier than now, but then they're over there doing these things, that are not good. A drunkard is committing a sin just as much as a gay person. If someone thinks that a gay person is, it's they're making their religion fit their personal goals, which is a sin. Actually, I have through life. I'm not getting the rest. I have several tattoos about life choices. It's the 7 sins and the 7 virtues, right? You have this one and you have this one. They contradict each other, but they're all about life choices. And in the end, if we try to be a good person, try to be good ourselves, we're going to fuck up. We're going to make mistakes. We're human. I mean, it's expected. However, how we recover from those moments to better ourselves, I just got chills about it because I'm trying to build myself to be a better person. This is one reason I'm doing this. How we recover from those mistakes and try not to ever make them again is what builds our character and who we really are, right? Nick, you mentioned you were a convicted felon. I don't know the details about that, but I know you now. For the past, year and a half, you're a good ass dude. You got.
And it's been a long time since I've been in trouble. I did what I did, learned from my mistakes, and haven't repeated them.
You made a conscious effort to be a good person, right?
Right.
And anybody, if you ask anybody about Nick, they're gonna say, "That's a cool dude. He's a good dude. He will give you the shirt off his back. He's a genuinely good dude." I told him when I first met him, like, I thought he was gonna be this cocky motherfucker. I'm like, this dude, he's gonna be an ass. Come from Lake Joy. Lake Joy's the haunted middle of Georgia. He's gonna come over and tell us we're fucking up and doing all this. But no, he did the exact opposite. He's a big teddy bear. Like you hear that about people? Nick is a
Yeah.
big teddy bear. He's a good dude. So my point is, Nick is a convicted felon. He's a good person. He's changed his ways. He's not doing those things anymore. But he's still human. He's gonna fuck up. I'm sure he's fucked up since then. But overall, holistically, he's a good person.
So there's this ethical guideline in Wicca traditions that is summarized as if it doesn't harm anybody, do what you want. It really emphasizes like the responsibility and the ideas that your actions should not harm others. So do what you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. And
And in
that
harmony,
go
do what you will.
that's it.
Yeah, I have the references here because I pulled references from Muslim, Wiccan, and Christian perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a word that you brought up,
Word?
interpretation.
Yes.
Look up some of the theologians of our time today. They talk about what we were just talking about with Old Testament versus our time today. The Bible, everything that is written in the Bible was written through interpretation.
Yeah.
So Jesus didn't sit and write these books. Okay. There were people, apostles and such, who bore witness, right? They were the ones who jotted these things down. Now, that brings up something that we go through when most kids in elementary school, they're taught the talk line. You put 10 kids in a line in a chair, right? You whisper a sentence in one ear.
Telephone game.
That was
Yes.
telephone.
And they,
Religion is the biggest game of telephone in history.
Yep.
but interpretation, that's where a lot of this starts. And that convenient Christian side of it is the way they get around these views and perversion of faith.
Yep.
See, organized religion to me, it says in the Bible that it's not built out of stock and stone, the church, right? The church is inside,
Yeah.
right?
We've talked
Jesus had no church. He didn't carry it on his back and then assemble it, like a pack house. He walked in, found people, brought them, or they came to him because they heard of him
Right.
and his teaching,
Right.
right? Why is it necessary that I have to tithe in this church? Why do I have to pay your salary as the pastor and pay for your wife and her medical care?
Right.
No. I truly don't believe that's why organized religion, I just cannot get down with inside these buildings. And you go to have coffee and donuts after, and it should be about fellowship, talking about the good that the church is doing for the community and what are we doing to help the
How many
community.
times have we gone to a church, build a church with people and all that, and they're gossiping?
Oh yeah, that's what my point is. You're sitting there eating your donut, sipping on your coffee, and Marjorie's over here talking about Frank and his pants are so tight, his Peter's about hanging out. I'm like,
He got another tattoo.
yeah, exactly. Or did you hear this one's son? That's the woman, her son, robbed 3 of the houses in the neighborhood, and we're trying to shun them from the church. It's like, whoa.
And I've also heard these things, women or men, right? Oh, he looked good today, Really?
Mhm.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Convenient Christian, right? So this was another Wiccan perspective, Nick, that I looked up, kind of along with this. Whatever energy you put into the world returns threefold, right?
Yep, the law of threefold return.
You're a good person. You put it out there, and it's very similar to what Jesus and all that says. You give and all that, and it will return to you. You know what I mean? The Lord works in mysterious ways. There's so many things that we've heard through our life.
And that's good or bad, though. That's either going to be positive or negative energy. You put out negative energy, you're going to get negative energy threefold back to yourself. So it works both ways.
Look at The Secret.
I'm going to bring up questions and comments here. I got someone on here because I was about to mention this point here. Me rides a Harley. People are the church, not a building. This is exactly the point I was going to bring up because this is something my little brother talks about. You know, the church is the people. The church, whatever it is, it's the people. They're the ones, coming together, fellowshipping, all that stuff. The building has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
However, a lot of people feel you go in there, you got people change their looks to go into a church, put on the front, you know, and be damned because I'm going to wear this to church. Well, Jesus isn't going to judge me for that. Other people will. They're not going to judge, not Jesus, not God,
Right.
not, Muhammad or any of that, because they've already forgiven them or whatever, if that's what you believe in, right?
Oh, there are people who put themselves in debt to have the big fancy hats and the big fancy suits and all the. Wow. Spend that on your family. Put food on your table.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem. Another thing you mentioned, the tithing and all that. There's two throughout my life over the past 25 years or so. There was two times I was really close and into church. Two of the closest times I ever felt the Spirit. Right, I really wanted to feel it because I was really searching, right, faith searching, all that stuff. And throughout life, even before I was in the military or anything like that, I felt all along that this convenient Christian front was a problem, right? Because I had family, I had friends and friends' families and stuff that would do this here, but then they're doing this over here. And it's like, how can we pick and choose? But this is what we're supposed to be living by. It baffled me, you know. Then when I deployed and I was around a lot of the Muslims and stuff like that, and my interpreters and stuff, they would talk to me and they were the closest to their religion to anybody I've ever seen. They practiced what they talked, and they did their prayers, and they were on point with everything. You know, and that's all the topic about. Well, they're all killers, and it's not true. It's not the majority, right? So all that, I guess. The two times where I was closest and I felt the Spirit, both times I felt deceived, I felt backstabbed, because the first instance was a pastor. We went into the church, and the daughter, something was going through a hard time, whatever, and he just outed her in front of everybody, pulled out of the wallet, threw money out front of her, just take it all, and like, really, it's time for us to get up and leave, right? That was a. How can you do that in the position that you're in and damn your own child in front of the entire congregation? That's a problem, right? That, like, I don't know what your problems were at home or whatever, but you never do that to your child.
No.
Anybody, and then the other time was somebody telling me that I make plenty of money to be tithing their money. First of all, don't tell me what I need to do with my money. Maybe I'm not that at that point. I'm tithing my time, you're fellowshipping, you're talking during all that time, which I was doing time. Um, who are you to tell me that I should be doing more? You know what I mean? Why is it up to the pastor? Why is it up to anybody in the congregation? Why is it up to anybody but me and Christ? If that's where my beliefs are. You know what I mean? So, very long-winded. And then the other one on the wicked side, judgment is left to karma or natural balance, focus on personal accountability. What do you have to say to that, Nick?
I mean, you can really take that with every aspect of life, whether it be work, school, relationships. It really just boils down to be a good person, right? It's hard to explain, I guess. Karma's real, right? So yeah, it really is. Karma's never associated with anything good either, right? So you say, like, you did X, so Y happened for you in a beneficial way. It wasn't karma got you, right? Karma is always the bad thing that happened to you because you did something. And that's really a perspective that really got lost along the way.
Right. Because of interpretation.
Right.
I have some Muslim perspectives here. The Quran is the Bible for Muslims and things like that. And literally it'll say the same things like you cannot be judged by anybody but Allah, and things like that. Just like, you know, and fear Allah, indeed Allah is accepting of repentance and merciful, right? It says the same thing, and this is a conversation that I have with my interpreters. Like, I have a Bible that has the or a Quran that has Bible references and how they line up quite a bit. Actually, there's differences and there's different books, but they line it up. But there's subtle differences because of what people were brought up with. Just because they're Muslim doesn't mean they're a bad person. Just because he's an atheist doesn't mean he's a bad person. He's a good dude. You're a Christian. He's not practicing Wiccan. I'm agnostic. We're good people. If we're bad people and we're there for each other, iron sharpens iron. We talk about all the time and hold each other accountable. We can maybe at some point make a small difference to make a bigger difference to make a bigger difference. You know what I mean? The common thing that I keep trying to get to, that I keep delaying, is it's all about being a good person. Like you said, Nick, we're accountable for ourselves. We're accountable for each other to be there for each other, to grow each other, grow ourselves. But don't let our mistakes own who we are either, you know, because it's inevitable. We're going to make mistakes. We're a human being. We're not perfect. Nothing perfect. Um, you know, be there for each other.
So if I can pose a question.
What's up?
Yeah.
So we've said all we've said about ourselves. How does your, and I guess at this point, political or religious views dictate how you found a partner, or if you don't have one, how you're looking for a partner? Is that something that you try to have a match with, or is it just they believe what they believe, you believe what you believe, and you just have like an interfaith kind of situation going?
Right. Me personally, the faith and religion was never really a part of a Mennonite relationship. Um, However, I know people. I'm not going to throw out any names or anything, but I know people who have had religious beliefs and religious. They were trying to pursue religious things that their partner wasn't. One had one religion, one had the other. The other person's parents were very strong on this side, which was also influencing her to say that his religious views were wrong, right? And it's not a good thing. You know, you it's up to the individuals in the end to decide whether or not those differences are worth fighting over, worth understanding each other. Because if we could understand each other where we're at that moment in time, maybe different political views, not political, religious views could help us out, right? Because they're different perspectives, but in the end, they're saying the same thing, right? And that's the problem is we're not listening to understand each other. We're not listening to see what the other person really feels or is trying to say. So,
And like interfaith relationships happen all the time. I mean, you see it with Jewish people that marry Christians, right? So one person celebrates Christmas and one doesn't. And then they have kids, and then coming up, they celebrate both holidays. And I mean, I know some people that do that. And the kids are brought to understand both aspects of both religions
right,
as a unity for the family.
right. My best friend John back home, he's been raised as a Jew and everything, but he has a lot of Christian upbringings and stuff like that. We didn't really talk a lot about it growing up, you know, teenagers and stuff like that. Um, but John, if you're watching this, we do have to talk about this because I got to know a little bit more about you, buddy, about your religious side. Um, but yeah, and there's so many things out there in this world that are influencing our friendships. Um, in the end, it shouldn't be because if we're all human, we all have our own beliefs. The telephone game thing really plays a role in why people will unfriend you or anything like that. Have you had? We asked to think about the political view. Have you had anybody unfriend you because of your religious beliefs?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
often.
I don't want to listen to time.
What what were their reasonings?
In both cases, it was over the same argument. Because I have this crazy notion that gay people deserve the same rights and privileges and deserve to be treated with dignity and respect like the rest of us. They disagreed.
You know reasoning though? They just
Oh, the reason was the Bible says, Romans 1, etc., etc., etc. Love the sinner, hate the sin, which is bullshit. Yeah, me. And I didn't offend them; they offended me. I wouldn't have offended them, although I strongly disagree with their opinion on that.
right. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. You know, something I was reading. I want to say this right. Last week we said something about agree to disagree.
Mhm.
But you don't have to agree to disagree. You can agree to learn to understand what each other's perspective, learn to understand each other. What are you trying to say? You're trying to make a point, but you have a feeling, you have something, and that matters, right? If I try to shut my mouth, right, they say you're given 2 ears for a reason, one mouth.
Mhm.
If I shut my mouth to listen, maybe we would all be a little bit better, right? And we all have the problem. So they unfriended you.
Yeah.
You didn't unfriend them. And it was over the same thing because you believe in gay rights. They didn't.
Yeah.
And they gave no reasoning. Did you rebut them for that? Did you say why, or or why you unfriend me? You know,
No, once they made that decision, I'm the kind of person. Once you burn that bridge is burnt. I ain't building it back.
water under the bridge.
So as soon as I saw I had two less friends, well, that's their choice.
Right. And everyone's
I'm
entitled to
gonna
their
draw
choice.
on it.
How about you, Jojo? Have you had friends unfriend you because of your religious views?
No, not really. It's for me. It's well down here with the Bible Belt and everything like that. I would imagine that had to be difficult as well.
Really, they don't advertise
Okay. No, I don't blame you on that.
things.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for that one.
You don't advertise because you don't want the flack, or do you feel ashamed?
Well, I don't feel ashamed at all. It's just something I don't feel like talking about.
It's not. It's nobody else's business.
Might add the drama.
Much, yeah.
But see, that brings up my point that I had told. I think I told you this too, Nick. One of the best billboards I've ever seen in my entire life. It says, religion is like having a penis. It's a wonderful thing that you have one and you can be proud of it and show it off all you want. But do not cram that thing down my throat. You don't have that
I
right.
believe that was on the billboard. That is perfect. We need to get a T-shirt made for that.
It was probably up north. I don't see that being down
Yeah,
here.
it was in New Jersey. It was in New Jersey.
So as I understand it, you come out to your preacher,
The whole congregation
and he was gonna betray you and
pulled me right out.
and you stole his thunder.
Yeah.
Man, that took some balls.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shake your hand. I can respect that. That took courage.
I have to.
You threw the stones at yourself. What about you, Nick? You said you're non-practicing, but were you practicing at some point?
I was at one point. It got to the point where I was by myself doing it. I didn't have any common interest in that with any friends or anybody in my close circle. So it's not that I lost any friendships, or relationships because of it. I think, and it's not a good thing, but at the time, I put that to the back door to pursue the friendships in other ways, right? So there's many more ways you can be friendly with somebody else, and put, you know, you don't have to use religion to make that acquaintance, right? So when I found that I was the only one really doing it, and people weren't really coming around anymore or really talking to me, I just kind of pushed it to the back burner, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did, and I just tried to find other ways to really connect with people.
But I think that gets down to the common point of what I'm trying to come together here is you can be a good person without religion. You can still have friends without religion. You can
Yeah.
still make the world a better place without religion. Don't take religion's back. and politics, exactly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either way, but don't cram your shit down my throat. It's not something that I'm practicing or need to hear or anything like that. I'll
Hmm.
listen to it and everything like that, but it's no different than a gay person coming to me and trying to hit on me and all that stuff when they know I'm not gay. Don't come to me and tell me that I'm sinning when you're judging me for not practicing religion or something like that. You are not
And
living.
that aspect of it is like trying to, as you say, like cram the religion down someone else's throat. Where all these religions, no matter what it is, all of them have something in common, right? If you look hard enough, there is something in common: kindness, love, fairness, desire to improve the world. Every aspect of every religion, or that aspect is in every religion, if you look.
And what's
And
the
there
number
can
one?
be that common denominator between them all.
There's one word.
Love.
Yeah,
Love.
that's the universal language.
Yeah.
So you say that, that leads us right now to the next area. Shared themes across Christianity, Wicca, and Islam, and even as an atheist, can love and respect all people, right? Do you
Yeah.
feel like everybody should be loved and respected just as much as the next?
Certainly.
Yeah. There's some people who do things that probably should be punished and stuff like that. But again, they're human. They're going to make mistakes, and they're going to suffer. They made that choice. They have to suffer the consequences, right? Treat everyone with dignity, recognizing shared humanity, right? That's number one. Number two, these are all shared, right? Non-judgment. Judgment is reserved for who we say? God, Allah, natural forces, not individuals. You are not to cast judgment on me because you are not God, you are not Allah, you are not those forces out there. Number three, inclusivity and unity. We are all a person, we are all a being. We belong, we deserve to be treated right, we deserve to be understood. And just because you don't agree with what I'm doing, how I'm living my life, how I'm raising my kids, and you have your opinion, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong or my wife and I are wrong. We're doing the best of our ability with what we have going on, with what we have been brought up in life. Right? And then number four is personal responsibility. I think this goes back to what you said earlier, Nick. Accountability. Be accountable for yourself. Um, Christianity calls for accountability before God. Wicca emphasizes karma, like you just mentioned a little bit ago, and Islam
Hmm.
stresses submission to Allah's will. They all say the same thing, but one's Muslim, one's Christian, right? And as an atheist, you have no beliefs. You believe in all that stuff, right? It's the same thing.
It's all reasonable.
Yeah. So he's no different than me. He's no different than Nick. I'm no different than you. I'm no different than him. So why does your religion matter over his?
It doesn't.
Nick's. Why, Nick? Why your non-practicing religion? Why is it better than Christianity?
It's not.
Exactly. So we all agree to agree.
And no one's better than anyone else.
No
And
one's
I've
better.
seen it a lot, especially in the South, where you meet some people for the first time, and a lot of times their first question is, "What church do you go to?"
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh
Yep.
yes. You're
Why
glad
does
to
that
pick
have
on
to be
church,
the
Uh-huh.
first topic of
I
conversation?
hate that question.
and that
Me
question
too.
is already judging.
Yeah, it's immediately judgy because if you don't answer what they want your answer to be, the conversation's already down the toilet.
And they'll look at you differently from that point on.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Isn't it shameful? It's sad. It really is. It's a sad, sad thing.
But
Hmm.
if the first part of a conversation with an individual starts that way to get to know you, and when you tell them and it's against what their structure is, and they start looking at you funny, I'm gonna excuse myself and I don't want to be friendly with. Right.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna drive the whole way home talking about JoJo the crazy gay Republican, you know?
I'm going to
Right.
bring over a couple more comments here real quick. We got Pappy. I believe that's Tim. Um, Organized religion is the problem. Um, bring it down a little bit. There you go. All right. Organized religion is the problem. Too many people, feel their way is the only, and that's just not fact. No man is better than another. It's kind of what we just summarized. Um, that is a fact right there, my friend. I appreciate you. And then me rides a Harley. Is that law? Some churches will to make you feel like you're not doing enough if you're not involved in all church activities. That is a fact.
And guilt.
Yep, make you feel
Yeah.
Guilt you in.
that. Take things on my back just for some of those things. A sin is a sin is a sin. You're judging me. You're damning me because I didn't come to the church event or I didn't come bring potluck or something like that. I was taking my daughter to school. There's so many things that people don't understand. We still have lives, you know.
Mhm.
And if you're going to dedicate your life to your religion, do it wholeheartedly, not half-ass. Don't be a convenient Christian.
Right.
Do it fully. Otherwise, move on. That's just my view. Sorry.
You say convenient Christian too. That is with all religions. I mean, I've met some people that were convenient Wiccans, right?
The
I've met
convenient
people that were
Muslims.
convenient Muslims, convenient
Yeah.
atheists.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just convenient, for, like you said earlier, to however they want to
To
feel.
their end.
Right.
It's
To how
only
it can
convenient when
benefit.
they really want it there. Who sings the song Jelly Roll? You know, um, God in need.
Oh yeah, a favor.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Hmm.
It's like he's praying because he needs a favor right now to fix him get him out
Yeah.
of this situation right here, right now.
and I only need you when I need you, not
When I need a favor,
Yeah.
right?
That's sad. You know.
Now, I don't know if all of you were familiar with the movement with The Secret. Are you familiar with The Secret?
No.
Do you remember that, Nick? When The
Mm.
Secret was real popular, it was the law of attraction.
I don't think so.
So this book came out, and I want to say it was probably a good 10, 12 years ago. It's called The Secret, and it's based on the law of attraction. Like equals like. So if you put out positive energy and loving energy, all of that is going to keep coming back to you. If you put out negative energy, the universe, first of all, the universe doesn't understand whether it's positive or negative energy that you're sending out. It's just energy. So whatever you're putting out, you're going to get back no matter what.
Hmm.
So if you're putting out, focusing on negative energy, that's coming back to you. Well, this movement grew and grew and grew. And I cannot think of he wasn't, I don't believe, an ordained minister at the time, but he started with this movement teaching people on reservations and stuff. And he had yurts where he would teach in these sweat lodges. Well, he took it far enough to where a woman died in the yurt and several other people almost died in the process of it. And then 2 days later, I think one or two ended up succumbing to everything that they were being taught through that. That is just like the Jim Jones side. That's the perversion of faith, right? And it can be twisted so quickly. You're drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Don't drink the Kool-Aid. You're not going to the spaceship. Drink the Kool-Aid. That's how we go.
And that's the interpretation thing.
Hmm.
It gets twisted, and people, if it's strong enough, people are going to start believing, and then they're going to pull, lies. Um, Lindy.
And then it becomes a misconception, right? So if that happens long enough, and like you play telephone with it, right? That goes down the line, down the line, down the line. It starts to become almost like a truth or a belief, but a misconception at that.
Now, do you all know about Chicken Soup of the Soul and those books?
I've heard of them, yeah.
I've never read them, but I've heard.
But you've heard of them. So they were born of The Secret as well. Because she wrote, some of the pieces in the book. And then it became that part of her side of the phenomenon as well. But I love that whole ideology.
You said that you've been told how can you be gay and be Republican? Have you ever heard how can you be gay and be Christian? You heard that one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear all that. It cracks me up.
Where I'm trying
They
to find
swear I'm gonna go to hell. I'm one of the most loving people on the planet. Like,
Yeah, but you still deserve to burn in hell,
yeah,
no matter how kind you are or how
Mm.
much
you do for a
positive influence you
community.
try to have. Yeah, things like that is what made me turn my back on Christian. I used to be a Christian. I was a Christian for over 20 years, and it wasn't something that just happened overnight. It was a long process for me to come to terms with this doesn't make sense and this just doesn't sound right. Until finally, what really did it for me was going to Iraq. Because here we were. Was you there or was you in Afghanistan?
I did both.
Okay. So here's the absurd, and you probably know where I'm going with this. We were told when we got there that the surgeons saw us as crusaders. We were there to destroy Islam and make Iraq a Christian country. So no wonder they were fighting us so hard.
Right.
You know, Christian country would fight them the same way.
Right.
So
If it's if the message is in your mind, how they're interpreted, they're gonna
so
come back at you.
so
Naturally.
that was the final nail in the coffin. That's that's when I lost all what faith I did have.
Right.
So who instilled that in them to believe that strongly?
The surgeons, you mean?
Yeah,
Well, that's a question I never asked.
Yeah. I didn't hear that.
that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't hear that side of it when I was deployed. I went to Cook and then I went to Lebanon and Kandahar, and then I was also in Jordan. I never heard that viewpoint that the Americans or whoever said that, or maybe that was the Iraqis that told their people that we were crusaders and we're going to come take over and all that. That could be what they were preaching. But I see that. But were you saying that the Americans were saying that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When you get there and you get like the country beat, like don't sit with your legs crossed, because you show them the bottom of your shoe, that's an insult. That part.
Right.
I mean, it might have just been where I was at in Balad. Maybe that's what they thought.
Well, see, I saw that as they're then telling us to adjust to their beliefs. Don't show them your bottom of your feet because it's offensive to them. Don't do
Yes.
certain things because it's offensive to them. But for the religious side, I've never heard anything about the religious side 'cause that was something that we were always told not to talk about. If you were to go to the church on base or at the FOB or whatever, you were more willing to do, but it's really wasn't one of the things you talked about in the military. At least the whole time I came through the military. You were in there longer than me. You retired, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were in there longer than me. So you might have. When did you join?
When? Actually, 92.
92. I believe you were a lad. Um, well, you were just mentioning, the convenient Christian and all that. Here's a couple things um, about a few questions. How do you maintain friendships with people who have very different political and religious views? Talk about this a little bit, but when you come in contact with someone, you're having a conversation with people who have different views than you, how do you maintain that relationship, whether it be political or religious?
Can I can I add one more thing to the convenient Christian aspect before we move on?
Absolutely.
I wanted to say that you see this a lot in a jail or prison setting, right? People get locked up and they found God and now want to do right. And I mean, it doesn't always work out that way, right? Like they get out, something else happens, they go right back in, they find God again, and the cycle just repeats. Um, there's really not a lot of room for different religious views in the prison system. And I think they kind of just hone in on that one idea. Um, when I was locked up, I shared a cell with a Muslim fella who he bought a Muslim prayer rug on commissary. And I thought at the time, I thought it was a great idea. He bought a rug. I brought 15 of them and lined my cell with carpet, and he got really upset about that.
I bet that didn't go over well, did it?
That's an interesting point, though. What kind of conversations brought were brought up during that?
I mean, you didn't know that's what it was at the time.
Right.
Right. I just saw that he got carpet, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you could buy rugs on commissary, and
Yeah.
bought 15 of them, lined my carpet out of carpeted cell, and he
Trying to feed off.
he was a little hot. He didn't speak that great of English, so I didn't really understand what the problem was. But he transferred out of the cell and out of the block the next day. So
Man, you're lucky you didn't get shanked, bro.
yeah,
Oh, so you didn't really engage in many conversations with them then to
nope.
understand the viewpoint or anything.
Whether he asked to leave or somebody knew he was going to do something and made him leave, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't get the chance.
Use your karma for buying his rugs.
Yeah.
This
I would have been a fly on the wall for that.
yeah. So I've been in those situations, being deployed specifically, and being in other places in the country because of the military. But talking to my interpreters, and I sat down all the time with them. We talked more religion than we probably should have been, but I wanted to understand their perspective, right? Because all this to me is interpretation and perspective, right?
How else do you learn?
Right. You learn through people. You learn
Experience,
yeah.
right?
And they were very calm, casual. They were great conversations. We built a bond. When I left Afghanistan specifically, my interpreters they knew I had landed a war. They knew that I was going home to do duty. They gave me a rug, right? A nice rug, and that then after somebody made, and then they gave me their smocks or whatever, and their clothing. And I was told that they give you that, they respect you and all that stuff. But that's the type of bond that I built with those people over there because they were going through problems, that we probably had no, other than we were attacked, obviously we were in Afghanistan, but we had no right to be there to infiltrate on them and try to push our ways on them because that's their battle to fight right now. You know what I mean? We're not gonna fix it. Um, but we sat down and we ate. Many times initially I was fearful because all the things you see and hear about them and all that stuff. But the more I got to talk to them, they're people just like us.
Mm-hmm.
They're very nice people. They're very understanding people. Like they actually look up to us. They would feed me. Like we don't just food in this. They're willing to give you all their food. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? You want more of this? I want some tea. How about with combination? You know, and it was chai, voila. I would like some tea with some sugar, please. And they would feed me their chickpeas and all that stuff. And I got to know them at a personal level. We talk religion. I have their Quran. I still have it, and it has the references between the Bible and you know Muhammad being their prophet, Jesus being our prophet, and students bring humanity, be a good human being, be accountable, be there to help each other. Um, and there was a couple of comments that were retracted here, but this comment right here, I think, is extremely important. A lot of religions are focused on filling seats, not saving the lost. Uh, I wholeheartedly believe that because there was a pastor that I know that was always focused on getting bigger, getting more people. If we could only get all the people in here, we could get a bigger church. And well, if your church isn't filled fully all the time, why are you focusing on trying to get bigger? Focus on who's there and bringing in the people that actually need the help and focus on the message that it's supposed to be. Not saying that pastor wasn't also doing that, but that was a lot of his focus. It doesn't matter how many people you have in your church, are you making an impact? There's an obvious impact. Right?
Now, see, that comes back to a conversation that you and I just had with when we were talking about do you upgrade camera equipment and things like that if the videos that you're putting out today are getting the views that they're getting, but are you getting that massive audience that's like taking you to the next level to where you can get monetized and everything like that, where that can pay partially for the upgraded equipment and stuff like that. So do you need a new phone with a new camera and upgraded all that stuff? No, not necessarily, because we haven't gotten to that point yet. It's very similar to what we were just talking about just then.
We had
Do you need the bigger church?
no, because you're not even filling all of the seats 100% of the time or even half the time. So,
And where's the money coming from that you're already having that conversation?
and where's it going? So, John,
And I thought the church didn't matter. I thought it was what was in it. Have it outside.
the people are the church.
That's
Right.
right. It's the message.
Fellowship. You know, what do
It's
we
the fellowship, right?
One of Landon's friends, Landon's my son for anybody who doesn't know. He's got a buddy, Josh, who was out here with us having a bonfire, a property for New Year's stuff. We were talking about religion. He was talking about his church and, you know, the building this big church, we're moving out of this place and all that stuff. And, you know, that focus on a big church and a big, you know, all these gaudy churches, like, what does that do for you? Like, honestly, like, is it necessary? No. Next point. Outside, fellowship outside. But you have a lot of conversations just on being outside. You go to the church, it's the same view every time. You know, you might change your colors a little bit for the season or whatever, but it's still the same building, still the same thing. So, the next thing is, what do you think is the most difficult part about having these conversations? Why do people shy away from those types of conversations? What do you think, Nick?
I think people just naturally don't like disagreements. And that's an easy way to avoid them.
Just don't talk about them. Just
Yeah.
leave them alone. They don't want to. Well, I know I avoid them personally because I don't want people treating me like I'm stupid because they view one way or another, or
Right.
telling me that I'm wrong one way or another. Because my viewpoint, I'll listen to you. I will listen to you. You know, but when I don't agree with you and you start shoving it down my throat, telling me I'm wrong because of I don't agree with you, that's one of the reasons I was because certain people I know that's how it's going to go. So it's not worth having a conversation. Keep the stress out there, like you said.
Well, look at it from a business perspective. It doesn't matter where you go to work. What are the three things you do not talk about? Sex, politics, and religion. Period. You don't talk to people. If you work with the public, you do not talk to clientele about those things. Nope. Nope. I mean, if you're a sex therapist and that's your job,
Not safe.
you know, but when it comes to like in a retail perspective or anything like that, or anything public related, no, nope. And that's just like what we do with the haunt and everything like that. Well, you pull all those signs up out of the yard for a reason. You know, your clientele that's coming in, if you have Trump signs all in your yard, and,
Yeah.
you know, do you lose tickets?
Or do you get attacked? Do you get things broken?
Right.
Because of other people's views, you know?
So it becomes very, those dividing lines becomes very heated when they jump on either side. But from a business perspective, are you going to lose ticket sales? Are they going to drop off because, oh, they run this and they vote this way? That's part of this conversation too. Like, it's not just friendships. How much is it going to affect your business or anybody's business? Advertising that way. It should not. It should not. No, it should not.
But
Are we grown enough and use enough of our brain power to look past those
from a
things?
business perspective, are you willing to keep those signs out there and use those people because you believe strongly enough about Trump or what religious views or whatever? Or are you willing
But
to use
that's
that?
where you're trying to separate your beliefs to everything else, your values, right? So if you do believe in it strongly enough, then you have the right to do that. If you put that aside for a business perspective, then you're more open to the ideas of everybody coming together for that business. And you're by getting rid of those signs, you're putting away all that political stuff to the side. You're not even giving them the chance to bring it there.
Right. And it's good conversation because there's people that feel very strongly either way.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion, I think you all know me enough now, I'm of the opinion of what does the consensus believe, right? You know, the
Mhm.
majority, you know. If you have 10 people and 6 people or 7 people lean one way, that's the way I'm going to lean because that's going to affect the majority. And then the people that are in the circle or whatever, your friend group, your company, whatever, they're going to naturally go along with it. Or what do we say? Accept, change, leave. You know, you can decide to accept what's going on. You can try to change it and say, no, we need to take the sign down, whatever. But at some point, you're either going to accept it or you have the option to leave because you feel strongly enough not to go along with it.
But alienating a client base in any way
It's
is,
discriminatory anyway.
oh, absolutely.
It's not good for business.
Right.
I mean, look what happened in Boston, Massachusetts. The the bakeries, there were 3 bakeries right there in Boston that denied to make wedding cakes for gay couples.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what happened when all that went down? That became a federal issue.
Wow.
They had to step in because there was so much backlash. They were literally going to burn these buildings with the people in them to the ground.
The game war?
No,
Oh,
it was just the whole community had come full circle and said, no, that's unacceptable. That should not matter. It's you're baking a cake.
right.
If it's 2 men standing on there, they were willing to buy the toppers. They were willing to, pay for whatever they had to extra, which why should it have been? No,
Good.
no, all 3 of them actually were forced
Hey,
out.
we're all entitled to our opinions and to feel strongly what we want about. Are you willing to suffer the consequences? But I tell you every time I get, you can do whatever you want in life. Whatever you want, you have that option.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, decisions have consequences as well if it's a bad choice, right? And no matter what choice you take in that life, at that moment in time, it was the right choice for you because you are your person. And hopefully you're taking feedback from other people. And I'll just go to another segment that we have in several weeks about mentorships and leadership and all that stuff, like learning how to make good choices and things like that. But you have that choice. You know what I mean?
You don't have to agree with someone else's beliefs either. But what I think what you do have to do is respect that they have the view that they have.
Exactly. That goes
And
back
just
to
like they should respect the view that you have. You don't have to agree with it.
right. And you don't have to agree to disagree. You have to agree to try to understand.
Agree to understand.
And that goes back to what was the number one thing? Love.
Oh
Love.
yeah.
And humanity, respect. Like it's all a common thing. If we all try to do that and try to be a good person, yes, we will fuck up, but we have our brothers and our sisters around us to help us pick ourselves up, move forward.
Mm-hmm.
This world would be a better place if they didn't let these types of things divide them so much. How do you personally separate a person's political or religious views from the core of who they actually are? This goes back to who the person is. Like Nick, you are a good person. I've known you for a year and a half. We haven't hung out a whole lot, but the times I have hung out with you, you are in here. You are a good person. So when
Yeah.
you're looking at somebody who has a different view from you, how do you let their views separate them from who they actually are?
So I try to separate the ideologies from actions. Right. So how you treat somebody is how I'm going to view you. I don't really, it doesn't matter to me that you believe how you believe or which way you believe or who you voted for. That's your choice. But how you treat somebody is how I look and appreciate somebody else. Your kindness, patience, your generosity. That stuff speaks more to me than whatever it is you believe in.
Right. So I want to add on to that a little bit. So when someone, And I'm sure you've been in conversations where, someone's a good person, but they say something that's not right towards a gay person or towards an African American using the wrong word, or someone that's special and uses the R word, right? Are you going to step up and say something about that? Or are you just going to bite your tongue and say, well, that's just who they are?
Uh, so I'm gonna say something only because, like you said earlier, I give off this persona of that guy's an ass, but I'm probably not gonna want to fuck with that guy. So if it's an initial impression that I don't really think is going that the way it should, I'll say something, and that's why I'm perceived as an asshole. But they don't want to keep going with it, so they shut it down, and I kind of use that to my advantage.
Right. It's a good point. That the R word, the word I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Someone, if you were going to replace that word with anything else, what would it be? There's many things you could put, none of which are good. You know, if you had to replace that word in a sentence, what would you replace it with? None of them are going to be good, right? So why use that word? You know, it doesn't matter if someone's acting it. We have banned that word from our household, even jokingly, because it's no different than using the N word towards someone that's African American. It's a bad word. It's offensive, and people don't say them for a reason. Um, Jokingly, sometimes they come out and things like that. However, when I ask you, what are you going to say? I hold each other accountable, right? I'll think it's a joke, and my kids will be like, "What are you doing? Saying? You're right. You're right. Call me out for it, right? If someone calls someone, you know, the F word, all those things like they're offensive. Like I'm going to call somebody out because that's holding each other accountable. It's iron sharpens iron. If we don't do that, it's kind of cowardly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to be able to hold each other accountable. Like if you say something, we've joked about this during Halloween. We were talking about certain things, you know, jokingly and all that. But in the end, is it the right thing to do? No. Does it make us a bad person? No, because we know it's a joke, right? If we said it around the wrong person, it could easily be interpreted wrong. But those are the choices that we're living with at that moment to say these jokes or whatever, to have a good time. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. That's a mistake I made, and I'm trying to better myself to not do those things in the future.
Gonna say that's something I'm working on personally too, especially at work. They all joke at work, and I actually have a sweatshirt now that says I'm a walking, talking HR violation.
You were
Some
lucky.
sometimes it just comes out, and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
But that conscious effort that you're doing, right, is what's going to build your character and actually shine in the end. Like people will know
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
But to the other side of that, it kind of goes back to the mental health thing. Like at some point, you can be good, you can be good, you can be good. One fuck up can ruin all that good in your life, and sometimes that's what people will hold you accountable for. You have
Oh,
one fuck up,
that's the only thing that gets remembered.
right?
And I'm not trying to make this sexist by any means, but you compliment a woman, say compliment your wife every day, right? It just goes by the wayside. Oh, he's just complimenting me. He's my husband. He has to, right? You say one negative thing, they're gonna hold on to that shit forever.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think Amanda was very surprised because I noticed she got a haircut. You know, she just got a cut 6 weeks ago. She got shorter, and
And
then
this is on the new shit?
no. She just got it cut again yesterday. And I looked at her, I kept doing double takes, and I looked at her, I was like, "Did you get your haircut?" Joe just looked at her, and was like, "See, Joe pays attention." So that one compliment maybe won me some cookie points, brownie points.
But,
Hope you're watching, Amanda. All right, bring over a couple more comments here. Do you guys have anything to add on to that as I bring these up? No. Right. Me, God, the Harley. Once we pray for salvation, accept Jesus, and confess our sins, we are saved. Period. That is a viewpoint that different Christian beliefs. I mean, some of them believe very strongly that you've been saved, you've been baptized, you're saved from all your sins, and then you can do whatever you want. It's like kind of almost the viewpoint that people hold. You know, I don't agree with that either because if you're not trying to be a better person, oh, 9 times nine, I can do whatever I want now. Heaven's forgiven. I think that's a convenient Christian view,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. You have
So
to
do
make
you,
a conscious effort to be a better person. Were you gonna say, Nick?
so you just uh, you can sin and then be saved and you're good, and then you can sin, be saved, you're good. Just a repeated cycle like that.
That's or you're saved and you can
Because now
sin
you can
because you've
just
been
sin for
saved.
no, because you're
Jesus
already
forgave your
saved.
sins no matter what. You know, I think it's a twisted view. There's people who have pushed that viewpoint. I don't agree with it personally because if you're truly trying to be a Christian, you should try to live in His ways. Right? Be a good person. Show that love. Show that forgiveness.
Right. Where's the righteousness in
No
it?
judgment.
You're,
Exactly.
yes, you sinned and he died for your sins, but what are you doing to keep that to a minimum? You know what I mean? You are not going to be able to go through life and not sin. We were born in sin,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Worldly ways.
Hmm.
Mimi also says most people don't know how to have civil disagreements. I agree with that too. People want to be right.
People don't like to be told that they're wrong or to feel that they're wrong about things.
Right. I'll admit I'm guilty of that. Especially more so with my kids and my wife and everything like that. Like I want to prove my point. Man, I was house. But in the end, that really doesn't get us anywhere. Like we learn. But again, everybody has a breaking point. What are we doing to do better and not do that again in the future? Um, we all want to be right, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't shut our mouths.
But why do we have to be right? Why do we need to be right?
Right.
That's what I talk with my husband all the time. I'm like, really?
I think it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Houdini. I think it was Houdini that said this, that it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Houdini stand right there.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy that thought up Sherlock Holmes?
Yes.
He was a big believer in spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that you could communicate with the dead and all that. So I'm not gonna debate that. But Houdini at first really wanted to believe in spiritualism because he was so attached to his mother. And when his mother died, he wanted nothing more than contact with her.
Right. Yeah.
So as he goes to these seances, he starts realizing they're fooling people. They're taking advantage of people and they're taking their money. Because he could recognize what they were doing. So he tried to talk to Conan Doyle about it. They were real good friends. And he's like, look, man, this is what they're doing. I'm going to explain it all. And instead of Conan Doyle saying, oh my God, you're right. I can't believe I fell for that. He was like, oh my God, you have the power too. That was his response. And eventually their friendship ended over that. Because he can kind of explain, look, man, they're making a fool out of you.
Right.
They're taking your money, they're making you look stupid. I can't believe you're endorsing this person. Well, I'm not saying that's the word to use, but that's the point he got.
Right.
And it eventually ended their friendship.
So they had the same problems that we have today.
Yeah. And people,
They just have different masks, just like we do.
people don't like to be told they're wrong. They don't like to, and even if they are convinced, wow, like I guess I hadn't thought about it that way. They're right. You still feel kind of bad about yourself. Nobody wants to feel that.
And to go back to one of the questions a little bit ago, I will have conversations, I will debate, but when it comes to the point where I have to defend myself, I'm going to get angry and I'm going to say things. I'm going to say things that I don't mean to say, but I do mean to say them. So I choose not to get into those conversations with certain people because it will likely get to that point, and I don't want to ruin that friendship, that relationship, because I value that friendship, that relationship, whatever, more than having a debate. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be made to be stupid, and I don't want to try to make that other person be stupid.
I avoid it whenever I can, but when I've been in a situation where I couldn't avoid
Because
it,
it's easier.
it usually
Yeah.
didn't end very well.
Well, I firmly believe that the easy things in life aren't worth having. The things that are worth having aren't easy.
Right.
Right? So, hence another reason for these conversations. They're not easy to have at all. So, go back to all cameras here.
What was the last comment?
Let me bring it up. Oh, lost my camera, it looks like. The last comment.
A lot of people.
Here we go. A lot of people's beliefs have been influenced, so a difference in opinion scares them. Very true, kind of what we just talked about. Some people don't want to have that confrontation just because they don't want to be made to be stupid, anything like that. It looks like
I had a conversation once. It was I don't even remember how it came up, but and I'm not gonna identify these people that I was talking with. Anybody that knows me will probably figure it out. But I never made the announcement. Yeah, I'm no longer. I'm an atheist now. I didn't bring it up, but somehow it was presented, and the person. I mean, she before that came out, she looked at me. Well, I like. But then she looked at me. Why don't you believe in God? I mean, just like, why don't you flush the toilet after you use it? Like there was something wrong with me, right? And it was a spur of the moment thing. So I just said, well, for the same reason you don't believe in Zeus or Thor or Seth or any of the other gods, for the same reason you don't believe. And her answer was, well, I'll pray for you. And that just infuriates me. And before I thought about it, I said, I'll think for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the table erupted in laughter. Like, that's the best comeback I've ever heard. And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
no, you should have said that.
That was the appropriate response for that.
My relationship with these people has never been the same.
Well, my counsel will tell me that's not your problem. That's their problem.
Exactly.
Well, it reflects more negatively on them.
Right. Exactly. It's their problem, not your problem. Because you are entitled to your opinion, your beliefs, your knowledge, whatever. They are not to judge you. If they're a Christian, they're not to judge you.
Well, I mean, other times I've had people say, aren't you afraid of going to hell? Oh, I don't believe in hell. Well, then what's stopping you from going out and robbing and killing and raping and stealing and all that stuff? And I'm like, because I have no desire to do any of those stuff.
Right.
I'm
Just because you
I
doesn't
don't
mean
need
you
the
should.
threat of hell or the promise of heaven in order to inspire me to be a good person.
Right.
For a person to insinuate, if it wasn't for these rules telling me if I break any of them, I'm going to burn in hell, I'd just go out and raise all the hell I wanted. That's to me, that's the most damning thing a person can say about themselves.
Right.
I'm a good person because I want to go to heaven. I'm a good person because I don't want to go to hell. So that's the only reason you're a good person.
Being a Christian.
Don't you have any other
I'm making laugh, but
reasons?
this is a good conversation.
I've had those convenient Christians, as you put them. I've been exposed to more than one of them.
Okay. I keep calling it convenient Christians because of the talk we've had, but it's convenient religion.
Yeah, they're religious when it suits their purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sickening.
It can.
Disheartening,
It can.
to say the least.
But you have convenient do-gooders too.
Right.
They do it when it's in front of a camera.
Right.
They do it when it's in front of other people.
Yeah,
for the adulation part of it.
We've talked about this.
But outside of that, they're not good people.
We started a nonprofit, and there's things that have happened and all that, where we've gotten upset in the end. We're doing it for the right reasons, so it doesn't matter what different people do or don't do or say or don't say, because we are doing it for the right reasons. We don't need to take pictures and show everybody and do all that stuff. It doesn't matter.
You help one person.
Open communication about all that stuff is really what helps prevent misunderstanding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
we're doing open communication that we're willing to listen.
Right. And
open mind, closed mouth.
I was gonna say, and not judge, but you can judge. Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Well, judge, but if you're going to judge, why don't you judge it and tell the person you're judging them and why, and then maybe they can rebut that and get a true understanding.
You're right. Absolutely.
Punch in the face too.
Well, they punch me in the face. That's just who they are. They're arrogant and cocky enough to believe that their view is the only view that matters.
Threefold.
I'm going to paste a couple things here and see if this works. All right,
What they say, when you point at somebody, you got three fingers pointing back at you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why in the military, you're taught to point like this.
Oh boy.
Out there. In the end, it's not our politics or religion that makes us who we are. It's our humanity, right? Mankind. We can be good people without the religion. We can be good people without believing in something. We could just genuinely be a good person in our life and make a difference in life. Um, Hold yourself and each other accountable. Call each other out when we mess up, because it's going to happen. But if we don't have that bond, that fellowship with one another, church, whatever you want to call it, then life can be difficult, right? And I'm trying to call this back into a mental health thing, because you got to have a circle. You got to have people that you can trust and believe in with all these types of things. Go to them and your struggles and all that. Man, Greg, a couple years ago, we talked to each other, and had this conversation not long ago, that men can't have feelings and emotions. And my buddy John last week was like, how often can you have these types of conversations with the men in your life? You know what I mean? Or even women. We need to hold our sisters and our brothers accountable. They should hold us accountable. We should be there to lift each other up, grow each other, make each other better people. Right? Who your character shows through actions, not through your beliefs. Right? Not through your non-beliefs. Your character is shown with actions of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make those mistakes, what are you doing to rebound from them? Do you have anything to add to that? No. All right. So something else I want to add: politics and religion will always be challenging topics, because they cause the core. They touch the core of who we actually are. Right. I'm sure if anybody of my friends and family out there watch this, this is who I am. If you got a problem with it, you can talk to me. I'll have a conversation with you. Not a problem at all. But it's gonna be a conversation. It's not gonna be you telling me I'm wrong, right? Because this is I'm my own being. I'm my own person.
Not a debate.
It can be a debate, but I'm not gonna get in a heated debate telling you that you're wrong. You tell me that I'm wrong. We're gonna try to understand each other. And I'm gonna try to meet you, like Jojo tells me all the time. I'm gonna meet you where you are today.
Where you are, right?
Where you are today.
Not where I expect you to be.
Yep. Because you may have something going on in your life that you're believing right now at this point. Just kind of like this is a journey that we're all going through. We're all doing it individually and together. Even when we're not together, we can still be there for each other. Through prayer or through talking with other people, encouraging and all that. However you want to be, just be a good person. Instead of avoiding these discussions or letting them divide us, we can choose a different path. One of listening, empathy, and understanding. Just what we talked about. We don't have to agree to get along. We just have to care enough to try. Right? And I said this in the past before. Are we going to solve world hunger with this? No, but that doesn't mean we can't try.
Mm-hmm.
We can try to make a difference. We can try to hold each other accountable, hold ourselves accountable. Iron sharpens iron, make each other stronger. One of the things my older brother was telling me about religion, right? Because he's got big Christian beliefs and everything like that. And this is somewhere that has to bring chills about it, because his belief is, it'd be a God, Allah, whatever, right? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the wind blowing on the trees, it's there, you don't see it, but the leaves are blowing, so you know it's there.
Feel it.
Right? So that can go to, a Wiccan, that can go to a Christian, that can go to a Muslim. That's your belief. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Well, we teach our children that too, with like Santa Claus. Just because you can't see him doesn't mean that he's not there.
Right.
Believing
Right.
is seeing. Seeing is important.
Right. It's very true.
But
I love that perspective.
being in this room with the three of you, four of you, the four of you could do what Jesus is not going to do, right? If I'm going crazy, I'm fixing to go get a needle and shove it in my arm and start doing drugs again or something like that. You can throw me down on the floor. That's a higher power than myself, right? That right there tells me there's more power in this room than anything else out
Right. That's a physical being.
there. And there's more love in this room too.
Right. All right. Any more comments there? I'm going to have a closing statement here. Then I'm going to open it up for a couple minutes for further questions or comments. And then I'm going to go into a disclaimer. And then for each episode, we have a song that we create. It's relevant to every episode. I'm using
Their topic.
yeah to the topic of what we're talking about. So when we actually do go off, I ask if you just take a little time to listen to the song and try to feel it, understand it. Kind of just like talking to somebody. Try to understand what the words are saying because they're very relevant to the conversation. So I'll say this before we go into the questions and comments. Take eternity into Courage to Converse. Remember, we're all human beings. We're our own person, right? We have our own individual experiences, life experiences. Having a dad, not having a dad, grandparents, all that stuff. We all have our own life experiences that lead us to where we are, give us our choices, our decisions we make. At that point in life, when you have to make a choice, whatever choice you make for that moment, where you are at that point, is the right choice. It could be a bad choice, but you're going to learn from that. And what you do from that learning experience is what will define you at that point. You can always recover from it, or even if it was a good choice, you can still do better, right? Teach other people, make them better, help them be better, right? Those beliefs that anybody has, they don't have to separate us, right? Should not separate us, right? Hold each other accountable, call each other out, build each other up. Let's choose understanding over division and respect over judgment. Right? We should not be judging each other because of our opinion, because of our viewpoints. Love to have these conversations. Keep going. Again, if you're watching, you would like a conversation with me, I would love to have a conversation. But a good conversation where we actually debates are good, but it starts that conversation going to understand where we're coming from. The final quote I'm going to give before we go into questions is our differences don't have to divide us. It's our shared humanity, and it's the common thing for all of us. Shared humanity, love, respect, that should connect us. Our true character will shine through all of that, right? Nick, you got anything before we go into questions?
I don't think so.
Right, Jojo.
Love is universal.
That's right. When's
It's all good.
it's all good in the neighborhood. All right, we'll go into questions. We'll leave it open for a couple minutes. As we read through all this, I kept scrolling through a lot of these. They're comments. Love each other, forgive, don't judge, don't cast stones, because at that point you're just,
You're going to throw a stone at the wrong window and it's going to bounce back and hit you in the face. How many times have we seen the video where the guy's trying to throw the brick into the store and it bounces and it literally busts his head out?
Yeah. If there is a karma, that's definitely what I think Dave said it. I'm a big
Isn't there
fan of
saying
people
people in glass houses?
Yeah, they're usually the ones who cast. Oh, Lord. They're the ones who throw the first set of stones. They shouldn't throw stones, but.
Some people get off on it now.
Oh, I know.
Here's a couple other things actually that the afterlife. What do Wiccans believe in the afterlife, Nick? I'm going through some final comments.
Reincarnation.
Yep, that's it.
Reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all energy. You're talking about like
Right.
mana and things like that. It's all energy. So it's
And
going
see,
to
there's a big misconception that it's associated with like Satanism, right, or dark magic, and it's not. It's about worshiping like
energy
deities,
and power and love. Yeah.
right? But there's deities for like gods and goddesses for the masculine and the feminine, and the moon and the sun. It's all just energy and rebirth into nature.
Reincarnation coming from you die, you come back as something else.
Mhm.
That's what a lot of people say.
I want to come back as my dog.
Yeah,
Right, but that's it. You don't necessarily come back as another like human being. Come back as another form of energy, right? So everything has a form of energy, and it's not really limited.
I don't know if it's a joke, but I'm not going to repeat it either.
Maybe so. So, would it be bad for a Christian to say that you must have been a dog in your previous life? Because
Yeah, thanks.
reincarnation, do they?
Compliment, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah. There's worse things to be.
Yeah. All right, so this is a lot. All right, so no other questions have come through. Again, I'm gonna have a disclaimer that plays. It's this conversation could strike, certain types of emotions or feelings in people. This conversation, this channel is not intended to be professional help, even though we may have professionals on here. If you need help, you need assistance, I'm more than willing to talk to anybody, because I've been there myself, but I'm not a professional, I'm not a counselor, I'm not anything, I'm not licensed in anything. There is help out there, and this next screen will give you some of that help information. After that, it's going to be a song that goes along with this topic. Take some time, listen to it, listen to the words, try to understand it. Next week, we will be going live, but I will be in the tattoo studio getting a tattoo by Sabrina Savage. I'll be getting a sleeve. So we'll be having conversations about the roles and how they've evolved over time between man and women, and the man and woman in the home. In the past, men were the head of the household, and a lot of people still believe that. But things have evolved. There's more women's rights. Women are working more. Some women are the breadwinners. And what's wrong with
That's true in my case.
So we're gonna dive into that.
I've seen her job, and I don't want
Oh,
There's nothing wrong with that. Thanks, everybody. No comments have come in. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you for joining us here on Courage to Converse. Our intention is to discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. I want to acknowledge that some of these conversations may have touched on sensitive or challenging issues. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to help. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741741 to reach the crisis text line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. See you next time.
In a world that loves to draw the lines, where every thought divides the ties, we've forgotten how to hear the heart, how to find the place where love can start. Opinions clash like waves on stone, but we're not meant to stand alone. When all is said and all is done, we're stronger when we act as one. Above the lines, beyond the fight, we're more alike when we see the light. Don't let beliefs keep us apart. Let's meet each other heart to heart. Different views, but the same old pain. We're losing what we stand to gain. Can we leave the walls behind and step into the space that binds? The words we speak, the flags we raise, can cloud the truth and blur the ways. But in the quiet, there's a sound, a place where common ground is found. Above the lines, beyond the fight, we're more alike when we see the light. Don't let beliefs keep us apart. Let's meet each other heart to heart. Different views, but the same old pain. We're losing what we stand to gain. Can we leave the walls behind and step into the space that binds? The words we speak, the rise above. We'll find the strength in shared love.